What's up, guys? Welcome back to Storytime with Uncle Jon. That's me. Just got back from a nice little weekend getaway to Chincoteague Island in Virginia with Auntie, and it was a good weekend. The temperatures were a little cool to be getting in the pool or the ocean, but we went and sat down by the beach anyway and explored the island a little and, had good dinners, ice cream, all that fun stuff. And now I'm back and all refreshed and ready to work. Sort of. Anyway. I like doing these, so it's not really that much work. All right, let's get into the stories. The software vendor. A new client came to us because they were having a slew of repeated miscellaneous nitpicky issues in their infrastructure. Many of these we have seen before, so they're easy to rectify. They'd grown to the point that they needed a server infrastructure as opposed to the peer-to-peer setup they had been working with. So we presented them with a full plan on how we intended to rectify the issues they were having, as well as providing a foundational solution for growth. This client had a slightly peculiar set of requirements. Internet access was heavily monitored and restricted by third-party companies. Internet access was heavily monitored and restricted by a third-party company, which also hosted email and had remote accessibility to end-user systems. Unusual, but we're an accommodating group, so as long as it doesn't interfere with the server and infrastructure, we're good to go. It's a brand new infrastructure, a new physical server with ESXi, 2 Windows Server VMs, a DC and an SQL application server, and a backup server are mounted into the rack. These machines are headless, so no end-user interaction. User PCs are all new, as the ones they had were a few years old. New user accounts, we migrated user data, bookmarks, passwords, software, etc. Set up QuickBooks Desktop, all is good. The client is happy as can be. They had never had an infrastructure work so quickly or smoothly. It's turned over to the software vendor to load the required filter and monitoring software, and they mount the hosted email accounts. We get a call from Dave to gain access to the server so we can install their software on it. We question this because it was our understanding that this software is for any systems that an end user may access, and the server is not one of them. After a discussion with Dave and the owner, we reluctantly granted one-time access to Dave to install his software. And then the problems begin. Erratic disconnects with QuickBooks, sluggishness and disconnects from SQL, etc. We discovered that Dave not only installed his software, but logged in after hours using his software and removed the firewall exceptions we had in place for QuickBooks, etc. We replaced the exceptions and connections were stable again. The following week we had a report that nothing was working. We could see the firewall was online, so we logged into VMware and noticed that the Windows guests were off. We powered them on and all was well. Got a call the next morning, same issue. On day 3, we're logged into VMware, performing a bit of minor maintenance, and the mouse starts moving. We sit back and watch as Dave clicks the start button and proceeds to shut down the servers. What? Oh my god. We wait about 10 minutes, power up the servers, remove Dave's applications, and send an email to the owner. Owner, I believe we have rectified the cause of your issues with the server. We're going to let it run for a day or two and see if the problem resurfaces. We'll follow up with you in the morning. Of course, with the software removed, there's no further problem. In fact, we get a response from owner stating that everything felt just a bit snappier than it had been. We thanked him for the report and told him we would continue to monitor the server just in case. The following morning we received a phone call from the owner. Dave was trying to do some maintenance on the server last night but had problems connecting. Can you give him a call to sort it out? Good. We call the owner. We explain the situation and what the issue with the server had been, and that we watched someone from the software vendor, Dave or otherwise, log onto the Windows servers and shut them down. Apparently Dave had been having side conversations with the owner trying to discredit us, describing how inept we were. At the end of our conversation, owner simply states, I see, I'll take care of this. As it turns out, not just for reasons, was client required to have this software on end-user devices, but owner was also a major stakeholder in this software vendor. After the dust settled, software was not to be installed on any of the server equipment, and Dave and vendor was to answer to us, and not the other way around. Since then, we've picked up 3 more customers who also require the same software package/vendor and have never had another issue. Okay, Dave sounds inept, sounds like a jackass, and it sounds like he may be slightly corrupt. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure how or why or for whatever reason. Was he using the servers for something nefarious? Why would he have a reason to go in there and shut servers down and do all kinds of stuff? Why was he trying to discredit this other company? I don't know. Well, I'm drawing a blank, but if you guys know or think you got an inkling, let me know down below. Family tech support and the printer everyone hated but no one complained about. This story is going to be about my experience with supporting and fixing the printers at my mother's house, where I lived and I got often to help my mother keep it in good state. It all started years ago. We used a nice old HP laser printer when I was young. It worked just fine, but due to its age, it broke after a nice 9 years of being in service. I was just in college, so my father did all the purchases of electronics, TVs, printers, washing machines, etc. And being a normal person, he bought the first product on the Google results. This is how we ended up with the HP 107W. It was just released, so it was recommended by the staff at the local big electronics chain shop. Of course, my father bought it that day and put it into service. That's when the issues start. Printers hate me. That's what I thought in those days. Want to print from Windows? Well, the 107W is a rebranded Samsung printer, so who's going to support its driver? No one. So here we go. I spent hours with them trying to get it to work. Download HP Smart and our super good driver installer because it would be way too hard to just make the driver auto install. Want to print from your Linux laptop? Well, you won't. Phone? It may work sometimes after a reboot or two. Out of paper? How dare you? There's a hard crash for you. Always needed to pull its cord from the wall. Count to 10, then plug it back. It just locked up completely. I think everyone gets why I always hated this printer. I got a job through the years, and I had some savings, and I thought about one day maybe getting a new printer. There must be good printers out there. This is how I got a new Brother printer for my mother's 50th birthday. I got her to the house on Friday afternoon, just a day before the celebration, with the printer in the back of my car. I was ready to set it up before she got home. My mother's a teacher and works 12 to 14 hours a day to get at least some money with a nice pay of $8 an hour, converted from local currency. So she wasn't home and I was ready for the suffering. Plugged in the printer, fired up the main PC at the house, and it auto-installed the printer. Excuse me, what? This must be an error. Let's try to print something. And nope, it just works. Okay, setting it up to the network must be harder. There needs to be a catch. It can't be this easy. So let's get the drivers for this. Download it, go through it, and it asks me if I want to add the printer to the Wi-Fi network. Yes, I want to, so I click Next. It asks which network I want to connect to and its password, and then it was over. I successfully set up the printer in 23 minutes. I was so amused. My father arrived a few hours later with food for tomorrow. My mother doesn't have time to cook after working, and looked at the printer and said, "Wow, you replaced the printer." I always hated that. The ink was so expensive for it and it never worked with my work laptop. I said, you didn't like it? Father says, no. The only reason I didn't replace it was due to I wasn't able to find any printer that fits into the place on the shelf. Damn. So my father hated it. I never knew this. It's time for my mother to get home and test if the printer works over the Wi-Fi for her work laptop. She gets home a few hours later to have dinner with us. After that, and some chit-chat, it was time for relaxing, and my mother to get back to working. So it was time to test the printer. She likes to print out the tests to check those for errors before bringing it into school. Mother says, "Hey, me, I need to use the printer, but I can't find it." I say, okay. You see, let's click Add Printer button. Opens Windows setting, and the printer showed up and started installing the driver. Nice. Love this thing. Just wait for that line to finish. Mother said, so I need to wait? Okay, but make sure it'll work after that. It was time to wait for a bit. I bought a coffee for both of us, and by the time I got back, it already installed itself and was ready to print. I said, now select the new printer and then click print. Mother said, I clicked print, but it didn't seem to want to start printing. Me, oh no, PSD coming back. Just wait a few seconds. And it's printing. Hooray! Disaster avoided. Mother says, wow, thank you, it worked the first try. It only worked for the second or third try with the old one. So after all, both my parents were very happy about this. Best present I bought for my mother, and found a printer company that doesn't hate me. Sorry about any stuttering that makes it through the editing of this video. That was kind of a hard story for me to read the way sentences were formatted. Can't blame the guy. I'm not sure if English is not his first language or if it's just the way he types, but I just had a hard time reading that. So anyway, yeah, printers. You know, I love this Epson printer that we have. I like the way the ink tanks refill. I like the way it prints. I like the fact that it only takes up a certain amount of space on our counter. The only thing I don't like is when it comes to Wi-Fi printing, it's a little weird. I found a workaround for it. You know, if I go to the Epson site, download all the whole driver / whatever software package, and I can uncheck some boxes as it's installing for things that I don't want on there or that just clog things up. And once that's done, it's done. The only thing I haven't figured out yet is people with iPhones, because I don't have an iPhone and I just don't get that deep into them. Android, I can figure out in 2 seconds. I can print no problem from my phone or my tablet. PCs are no problem. Chromebooks are an issue. If you plug the Chromebook directly into the printer, I bought a new 6-foot or 8-foot cord so that they can pop into the room, plug in, and print. But I haven't found a Wi-Fi solution. Sometimes it'll print, sometimes it won't. And the kids use Chromebooks for school, so here we are. So anyway, I'm sure I'll get something figured out at some point, but the printer seems fine. It doesn't seem to be necessarily a printer issue. I think it's a networking software issue. I don't know. But anyway, there you go. And good for OP for getting that finally straight. Stop letting Dad buy the techie stuff. I'm not using a wired headset. User submits a ticket saying that their phone call quality is bad. I begin messaging them to try to solve the issue before needing to remote in. I say, "Hi, user, I'm with IT. I understand you're having noise quality issues. Can you answer the following questions? Are you working from home? Has this been a constant issue or did it just start? Are you using a Bluetooth or wired headset?" The user says, "Yes." Yes to which question? User says, "Sorry, I didn't see the full message. Yes, I'm working from home. No, I'm not using a wired headset. And this is consistent." I say, "Are you using a Bluetooth headset?" The user says, "No." So, no headset? User says, "It's just a regular headset with a wire attached, but not Bluetooth." Got it. Can I remote in and take a look at a few things? Update. User has stopped replying entirely. First off, how can you not understand such a simple question as, are you using a wired headset or no? Like, who doesn't know? Like, I use this headset because then I can hear if I do something stupid to the microphone. And, you know, I'd rather not wear these while I record, but at least this way I know if I bang into the mic arm or something, I need to cut that out. But anyway, who doesn't know if they're using a wired headset? It would have a wire going to whatever you're listening to connect. Bluetooth earbud, not wired. Headset, wired. I have a Bluetooth headset in the drawer. I don't use Bluetooth for the computer because then there's a lot, bad latency, and even the adjustments on the recording software that adjusts for latency, it doesn't work so good. So anyway, and then just to stop responding, I mean, you either have an issue or you don't. If you're going to ask for help, at least try to participate somewhat so that somebody can help you resolve your issues. Duh. Privacy by design. Hello everyone, back again for a short little story that's currently ongoing, so the fun might continue. If you've read some of my previous posts, which you probably haven't, I don't post that often, you'll know that I work in healthcare, specifically elder care here in the Netherlands. Now, one of the departments of the company I work for is tasked with what you would call acquisition. GPs refer clients reach out to us, hospitals discharge their patients to become our clients. Usually there's a waiting list for people before they can move into an apartment. To ensure they can keep track of all the prospective clients, they've implemented a new application which links to our other systems. It stores contact info, personal data, manages entry times. It's a pretty nice piece of software. All SaaS, S-A-A-S, so there's very little for us to manage. But they decided to implement this without informing IT. And when the project was finished, they came to us asking us to do the admin and support for the application. And our manager said no. Basically, we didn't implement it. We didn't do our vetting and checking on IT requirements, so it's not something we can support. I like my manager. This morning, a colleague picked up a ticket about this app asking about how they had made a few general accounts that they were going to pass out to the various departments so everyone there could log in, so they could cover for one another while someone was on holiday or sick leave or whatever. But the app forces 2FA login, so they were asking, hey, how can we make sure everyone can log in with the same account? How can we get this code to everyone? Remember I told you how this system contains a ton of personal data belonging to prospective clients? Things like the BSN, think Dutch social security number, house address, mail address, telephone numbers, and details about the kind of medical care they're looking for. We talked about this during our morning meeting and all had a good laugh about the request. And I noted how this was practically a perfect example of privacy by design. Needless to say, we're not going to help them circumvent the 2FA security. I understand two-factor authentication can be a pain in the ass, but at the same time, there's a reason that it was invented to begin with. And for everybody in an organization to have the same login credential or access to the same login credentials so that they can cover for other people, no, if you're covering, you still got to put it under your account. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how their system works, but it's just dumb. You can't have that stuff out there all willy-nilly for anybody to pass on, or, maybe your credentials get stolen, your wallet gets stolen and your password and everything's in it. It just doesn't make any sense. You got to have things tightened up so that you know when and where things go wrong. Whose account was it on? How did that information get out there? Or was it them screwing around or making mistakes? See, that's why I wear the headphones. Yeah, just to circumvent the whole 2FA stuff, that doesn't make any sense at all. When it comes to medical care and stuff like that, you got to keep everything secure. So there's that. By the way, my computer, my PC here, my gaming PC, seems to be running way better. It's much snappier. I don't know why. Forever, this thing, when I got it, was a Windows 10 machine. No big deal. I thought I'd run it to end of life and, then figure it out from there if I wanted to go with Linux or whatever. And then I've been using my wife's laptop off and on, and one of my sons, I help him with his laptop, and they run Windows 11. And I thought it was going to be a resource hog, but it really isn't. I mean, it seems to run pretty well. But for some reason, I kept getting an error message, or at least a message when I go to updates, that my PC doesn't support Windows 11. And I'm thinking, what? I mean, I've got the video card. I've got tons of RAM, nice processor. I mean, I don't understand. So then I saw a message one day about TPM, trusted. What is that called? Oh, trusted platform module. So, okay. I don't know what that is really. I mean, I sort of get it after reading up about it, but it says, oh, it's easy. Just go into BIOS and, look for TPM or trusted platform module and do this, and this, and you're done. Well, depending on the vendor that built your PC, the BIOS is going to be different. Well, I have a gigabit system, gigabit motherboard, all that, and it's AMD. So, and even with those things in mind, knowing those two pieces of information, the vendor site still didn't even have this particular model on there. So after digging through the BIOS and some more stuff on Google, I finally found it. And I can't remember what it's called. It was a few days ago. It was just basically turning some setting on to allow the TPM to go. But it wasn't called TPM or anything of the sort. And it was under the security tab, and I finally dug through and found it. And I hate being in the BIOS because I'm a hammers and nail kind of guy. I build things with my hands. I mean, software is still a little bit abstract to me. If I can't put my hands on it and fix it, then I have a tough time. But anyway, got it to work, and it loaded up Windows 11, and everything seems to be working perfectly. It's a little frightening, to be honest with you. It's like waiting for the other shoe to drop. So anyway, just figured I'd let y'all know that little bit of useless information. Fun with PHP. So it's been a while, meaning I can't remember all the exact details, but this is pretty much how it happened. Back then I worked as a full stack PHP and Django developer, but our bread and butter at the agency being either WordPress or Laravel. If you're unfamiliar with Laravel, it's a worldview controller, MVC, application development framework written in PHP. Now we had this client who had tasked us with developing a new iteration of their site in a hybrid WordPress/Laravel setup. One day I get a call to investigate some issues relating to the client's current Laravel site. Mail isn't working, etc. They can only offer us FTP access, so I configure SSHFS, to mount the FTP system locally. I was still fairly junior at this point. I run through all sorts of checks to little or no avail. The client, told us that there had been no changes made to any of the files whatsoever. The error messages I was seeing on their system, IIRC, had something to do with HTTP headers not sending. Eventually, I have a light bulb moment. I remember a few years ago being told by one of our senior developers that whitespace above a PHP opening tag can cause all sorts of issues. Lo and behold, the client had edited the index.php file, the main entry point for the Laravel application, to include whitespace above the PHP opening tag, most likely unintentional. I discard this edit to the file and voila, crisis averted. I feel like I just tried to read that story in Swahili. I couldn't get the words out. Some days be like that, I guess. The synapses don't fire exactly in order, and brain to mouth connections are sporadic at best. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed the stories today. And if you did, do me a favor, click some of those little buttons down below and see what they do. Like, dislike, whatever. Subscribe, share the video, and until the next one, we'll see you.